Tammy Pally, aka the Crafty Princess, and you can find information about me and my other crafting pursuits over at tammypally.com. That's my blog. And of course, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where I have all kinds of videos related to crafting, especially jewelry making, beading, and yarn crafting like knitting and crochet. So today's video is a quick review on a very cool book. And I don't usually do book reviews via video, but this is an unusual book. This is more than just a book that you would read. It's a kind of a designer tool, if you will. It's called, as you can see, it's called Knit Notes. This is published by Sterling. It retails for $14.95 in the US and $17.95 in Canada. And you can see that it's got beautiful knitting stuff on the front. The subtitle says Explore, Design, Create. And basically what this is sort of a notebook for knitting designers. I am not a knitting designer. I don't know if I aspire to ever do anything as far as designing for knitwear, but I do design jewelry. I do also sort of design crochet projects very much on the fly. And that's one of the things that appealed to me about this, is because as a designer, one of the things that I have done for years is I have little sketch pads of designs. And I have found that that kind of helps me, especially if you really get into a creative splurge, so to speak, where you have lots and lots of ideas, and of course you can't just sit down and make them all. I have little sketch books, and I'll sketch out things, and I'll put little notes to myself. And this is what this kind of is, only in really kind of more detail. So I could see this being used for other types of crafting, even though it's obviously geared towards knitting. So the preface, they have a little preface here. There's a couple of pages that talks about design, things to think about, and really, again, these to me are universal. Like, one of the things it talks about is using nature as a way to inspire you. And how, you know, maybe a gift is something that you made for somebody that again became the inspiration. That's kind of universal as far as designing goes. Then it has information about how to use the book. I'm not going to show every little bit. I know I have to be careful because, of course, copyright, I can't show you everything. But with this book, it's kind, like I said, it's kind of like if I'm like I would be showing a pair of knitting needles or something. It's more than just a book, it's a tool. And so if you have had some ideas about any type of design work, even if I would even say, even if you took a pattern and you made some modifications on it, which is something many of us do. I mean, I'm famous for that. I almost never follow the instructions, which is hilarious because I write a lot of instructions about how to make jewelry, and then, you know, I can't help myself, I got to change things. So say you had a knitting project that you were working on, or a crochet project, and then you started making modifications, you could use this to document that. And this is important because this way you could go back and maybe change things again, or, you know, say it turns out great and you want to make it again, you would have documentation about how you did that. So once you get past the first part that talks about how to use the book and designing information, there's a project page, and this has, you're going to actually write in this area here. There's also graphs. Okay, you can't see that really, but see that graph paper? Okay, so this has body measurements. In fact, they have here, I guess I can show you that. Okay, let's see. Here's kind of a example of what you would be doing on these pages. Writing your notes, adding a swatch, adding pieces of yarn, that kind of thing, because of course the materials are very important as well. So there's pages and pages of that where it's, here's the materials you used, here are the basics, here are your swatches, here's the graph paper, and then they have note pages, a place for you to put your finished photograph of the finished piece, and that kind of thing. So honestly, definitely if you are a designer who knits or crochets, you could definitely use this book. If you're somebody who knits and crochets and does a lot of modifications, you could definitely use this book. If you are a fiber person, for example, I've been working on some designs as far as jewelry that incorporates fiber, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to use this book for that. In fact, that's what kind of excited me. I was like, ooh, I could put my fiber jewelry designs in here. If you do other types of crafts, not so much. I don't think this would work for say you're doing, well, I don't know. Now that I think about it, I guess if you did cross stitch or embroidery, you might be able to use this too. I would say anything other than that, go to the bookstore and look at the book yourself to make sure that that would work for you. Okay, so this is, and you can see it's what do you call it? Spiral bound. All right. So it's a workbook, really. It's a designer workbook. That's a good way to put it. Then in the back, there's information again that is really more knit related. So it talks about measurements, how to determine. Say you're going to design a sweater. It has information on the different types of sweater, like a raglan versus pullover, that kind of thing, and or socks. There's stuff in here about determining the size, the circumference of your foot. So that the index information is very central to knitting specifically. Yeah, so, and then the other thing, I'm trying to get to the back here. The other thing I wanted to point out was it's got this little elastic thing, okay? So what's cool is because if you really were to use it and you had yarn swatches or yarn samples in here, this is going to get kind of thick. It won't probably close all the way. All right, so you would be able to use this little elastic piece here to help close it up. Okay, and yeah, so that's my take. I'm impressed with this. I think it's well made. It's, like I said, it is a knit designer's workbook, and that's really what it's made for. So if you go beyond that, if you're, like I said, if you use it for fiber but maybe vary a little bit, that's something you would have to, like I said, embroidery, cross stitch, sewing you might be able to do. But if you're going to do anything other than design with crochet or knitting, I would say take a look at it before you would pluck down your $14.95 in the US for this, or what was it, $17.95 in Canada. And of course, always check Amazon. They have definitely always have less expensive retail prices over there. But if you can get a handle on this in your local, your hands on it in a local bookstore, take a look at it, because I think this is really, it sparked my desire to create, that is for sure. And so you go sit down and look at it in a bookstore before you're ready to purchase. But I think it has a lot of possibilities. And yeah, that's it. This is Tammy Powley talking about Knit Notes, the book Knit Notes. Thank you for stopping by. Please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye.